Hello everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to dive headfirst into the heart of Mandarin Chinese. We're going to start with what looks like a really simple conversation, but trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand not just the words, but the fundamental logic that makes the language tick. This is really your first step toward a real conversation. So let's get started. Okay, let's just jump right in. What you're looking at on your screen is a complete foundational conversation in Mandarin. I know, at first glance, it might just look like a puzzle, a bunch of characters you don't recognize. But our goal today is to hand you every single piece of that puzzle, one by one, so that by the time we're done, you'll see it clearly and be able to put it together with complete confidence. So, let's start by breaking down the very first and maybe the most important word in this whole exchange, the greeting. This is the word that opens the door to communication pretty much everywhere in the Chinese-speaking world. Understanding its parts is really the first essential step. Okay, this first character is ni, and it's pronounced ni. It simply means you, the informal singular you. Now, the tone here is really important. It's a third tone, and this one can be a little tricky for English speakers. It has this falling then rising quality. Think of your voice dipping down and then scooping right back up. Let's try it slowly. Ni, ni. A really common mistake is not making that dip low enough. You really want to feel your pitch drop before it comes back up. And here's a little insight for you. See that component on the left, the peng? That's the person radical. It's a little clue that tells you this character has something to do with a person. And the second character is hao, pronounced hao. This just means good, fine, or well. And you'll notice it's also a third tone. It has that same falling, rising shape. Let's practice this one together, really focusing on that dip and rise. Hao. How? And here's a beautiful little piece of linguistic history for you. The character itself is actually a combination of two parts, nu, which means woman, and su, which means child. The ancient idea was that seeing a mother with her child is the ultimate symbol of what is good. Pretty amazing, right? Now, this is where it gets really interesting, and this is a fundamental rule of how Mandarin sounds. You'd think you would just say the two words as ni hao. But to make the language flow better, when you have two third tones right next to each other, the first one actually changes. It becomes a rising second tone. So ni hao becomes ni hao. This isn't just a casual thing. It's a critical rule for sounding natural when you speak. So what does this all mean? The standard Mandarin greeting, ni hao, literally translates to you good. And this is a really important cultural point. It is not a question. It's not like in English where we say, how are you, and expect an answer about how someone is doing. This is a simple, elegant statement. It's a well wish. You're basically saying, I wish you well, or may you be good. Okay, let's move on to the next line of our dialogue. We're going to see how this builds into introducing yourself. And you'll see the sentence structure here is incredibly logical, and honestly, it should feel pretty familiar to English speakers. First up, we have the character wa, pronounced wa. This is the word for I or me. And yep, you guessed it, it's another third tone. So let's use what we've learned and get that dip and rise pronunciation just right. Try it with me. Wa, wa. This is the counterpart to ni, right? It establishes the two key people in any conversation, you and I. Next up is the verb jiao, pronounced jiao. This means to be called. Now, pay really close attention to this tone. It's the fourth tone and it's sharp and falling. Imagine it like a quick, decisive command, just dropping straight down from a high pitch to a low one. Let's try it. Jiao. And notice that little radical on the left, the ko? That's the mouth radical. It gives you a hint that this verb has something to do with the mouth or with speak. Now, here's some good news. Mandarin sentence structure is often incredibly direct, and it follows the same subject-verb-object pattern that we're so used to in English. This is a perfect example. To introduce yourself, you just state the subject, wa, followed by the verb, jiao, and you finish with the object, which is your name, wa jiao, name. It's a clean, logical, and very familiar way to build a sentence. All right, we've come to the final new character in our little dialogue. It might be a small word, but it is so powerful. It's a crucial little adverb that adds cohesion and lets you respond to someone, turning a one-way statement into a real back and forth. This character is ye, and it's pronounced ye. Hey, another third tone for us to practice. This is an adverb, and it means also or to. Now, here is the most important grammar rule about this word that you need to remember. In Mandarin, ye always goes before the verb it's connected to. This is a super common mistake for learners because in English, we stick to or also at the end of the sentence, not in Mandarin. And this slide just illustrates its function perfectly. Look at the left. You have our original sentence, 我叫喷宇, which means I am called Punyu. Now look at the right. By putting 也 right before the verb 叫, the sentence becomes 我也叫喷宇, which means I am also called Punyu. You see how that one little character, in the right spot, completely changes the meaning and creates a sense of agreement? Okay, so we have painstakingly looked at every single piece, the sounds, the characters, the grammar. We can now go back to our original dialogue and see it not as a confusing puzzle, but as a completely coherent and logical conversation. So listen as I read it through for you. First, I'll go at a slow, deliberate pace. Really listen for the tones. Ni hao, ni hao. 我叫 name, 我也叫 name. Now, a little more like a real conversation. 你好,你好,我叫 name, 我也叫 name. You see? What was just a bunch of symbols a few minutes ago is now a meaningful exchange that you can totally understand, and even better, you can now participate in. So this brings us to a really important question. Why does mastering this one seemingly simple two-line dialogue matter so much for your journey in learning Mandarin? What have we actually learned here? The most important thing to realize is that you haven't just memorized a few phrases. No, you've learned the actual building blocks of the language. You've learned the basic greeting and the culture behind it. You've got the core pronouns down, the I and you that are at the center of any interaction. You know that Mandarin's basic sentence structure is a familiar framework. You've tackled the incredibly important concept of tones and even the rules for how they change. And you know how to use a key adverb to connect your ideas to someone else's. This isn't just vocabulary. This is the engine of the language. So this isn't a theory anymore. Right now, you possess the actual, practical, usable tools to go out and have your very first complete conversation in Mandarin Chinese. This is your way in. By taking apart this simple exchange, you've actually built an incredibly solid foundation. From here, you can start to understand much more complex ideas. And so let's end with a thought to take with you. If this much structural beauty and cultural depth is packed into just a simple hello, just imagine what other incredible discoveries are waiting for you as you go deeper into the richness of the Mandarin language.